Hello, everybody. This is Jeff Perkins with the G.I.D. Realty team. This is just a quick overview of the home buying process in general. Each person's situation will be a little bit different, but just in general, if you're buying your first home or if it's been a while since you bought your home, this is a process that we'll be going through, some of the people that you'll be working with. So we just wanted to give you a quick idea of how that process will go, what to look forward to, who the people will be in the process of everything. So just want to take you through this, not going to take up too much of your time. So like I just said, this is just a walkthrough of the home buying process from the time that you get pre-approved to when you close. Before you start the home buying process, even if we're giving you down payment assistance, even if the market is calling for people to pay for your closing costs, if it's a competitive market, whatever the situation may be, you do want to have some funds readily available because you are going to have to pay for certain things when we're starting this home buying process. So we typically tell people to have at least 1% of your purchase price available to you. If you can have more, that would be great because it'll, give you a little bit more leeway. It'll allow you to have more options, but at least 1% available to you. The money will be protected. You do have our full team behind you. We do work with pre-owned and new build homes. We service all of Texas, but our main focus is DFW and the Houston area. Who will be involved in your transaction? This is just kind of some of the people that we'll work with when you're buying a home. So obviously the seller, they own the home. They're looking to move on to a different property. So they put it on the market. The real estate agents will negotiate, advise, show you homes. The title escrow officer, this is the title company. This is where you see people typically on Facebook taking pictures, holding a huge key. Their whole process is to pretty much take care of the back end of everything. So you really won't have too much interaction with them. The appraiser, as it says there, they confirm the home's market value for the bank and for you because you don't want to buy a house that's worth more, or you don't want to buy a house for more than what it's worth. The bank doesn't want to lend money for more than what it's worth. The buyer is you. We always say you're the most important person in this process because without you, there would be no transaction. The lender and loan officer, same thing. Mortgage person, mortgage lender, whatever you want to call it. We normally refer to them as your lender. They're the person that's giving you the money. They provide you the financing. We could find the right house. We could write all the contracts. We could negotiate everything. But until you have that pre-approval from your lender, it's really all kind of for nothing. The inspector, this person is optional, but it's, highly recommended. We should have put this one in red. If you are going to buy a house, I don't think any of the other realtors are going to go hop on the roof. We're not measuring the foundation. We don't have tools to check the water pressure or anything like that. So that's what an inspector does. When you go out to the house, we're looking at the house to make sure that you can see yourself living there. We hire the inspector to make sure that we're buying a good property. Like we want to make sure that everything is solid. There will be things that'll pop up on the inspection report that have changed. Even if you're buying a new build, the code could change throughout the year. So I've never seen a house where there's nothing, highlighted or flagged. We'll go through that with you as your realtor and we'll help you, decide what needs to be fixed, what's not such a big deal as what it looks like, and help you navigate that. Transaction coordinator, this is somebody who handles the paperwork and the date side from the realtor standpoint. So there's a lot of deadlines that we have to meet, especially when you first go under contract. So the transaction coordinator, her name is Tiffany. She will send you a list of items when we first go under contract. It's typically within, 12 hours or, if we get a contract executed at the end of the day, it's the next day. And it'll basically have your timeline of what we're trying to achieve and the time frame we're trying to achieve it. So as we talked about, the lender getting pre-approved is, after you decide that you want to buy a house, this is the next, thing in that process towards buying a home. Like you definitely want to make sure that you are pre-approved when you're going out here to go look at homes, because if you find the house is perfect, hey, I want it, yeah, I can afford it. My last house was 300,000. Well, if the rates have changed, if the taxes are extremely high in this area, we want to know what your current rate would be, what programs are available to you, what your payment would look like. And we're not able to give you any of that information until we get you pre approved, because now we're actually working your information. We are, you know, not dealing in, I don't want to say uncertainty, but just like general stuff. Like we're actually working with you in your situation. So a pre approval just determines your buying power and your budget. Sometimes you'll be approved for more and you only want to spend a certain amount. That's perfectly fine. If you say, hey, my budget is $3,000 a month and you're approved to go up to $4,500 a month, we're going to stick to that $3,000 a month budget to help you find the home that works for you. So if your loan type is a conventional loan and typically will let you buy any property, there are VA loans, FHA loans, USDA loans, and other unconventional loans. Different properties are able to take different financing. So we also want to know what loan type you qualify for, what payment type works best for you. So once we have that information, we can also let you know what list of homes would work for you. Also, some sellers will not let us show their home without letting them know that we have a pre-approved buyer. So you can see below what documents are needed to become pre-approved. Very simple, just like buying a car. For some reason, your credit isn't where you want it to be to get the approval that you want. Typically, we're able to see where your credit score is at. We are able to help you come up with a plan to get your credit, raised. It's varies from person to person. Some people may take 15 days. Somebody may take 90 days. It really just depends on your situation. Like you're familiar with how your credit has been. If you need some credit education, we can definitely do that as well. But I just tell everybody on average, 2 months, if your credit is not exactly where you want it to be, or if it's not getting you the most that you can get, typically within 2 months, we can get you where you need to be credit wise. So this is some of the money that you'll need. Earnest money is typically 1% of the purchase price. This is due within 3 days of you going under contract. This is why I tell you, you need to have at least 1% of whatever purchase price you're trying to buy. So as you can see, $3,000 on a $300,000 home, that's what you would need. Option money, this is non-refundable, but it does go towards your purchase price if you buy the home. It varies on the market time and it varies on the price of the house. But for an average home, about $350,000, we can get an option period 5 to 7 days for roughly $100, maybe $300. If your home is over $500,000, and it is going to go up, it's typically 1% of your earnest money. The inspection costs, like I said, this is optional. This isn't something that you actually need cash for. You could use a credit card, something like that. This, like we said before, we're looking at the house to make sure it's pretty. The inspector is looking at the house to make sure that it's functional. That's the best way to put it. Like the HVAC system is working. Like everything that is a major component to your house, they're going to check it. If you want them to check optional things, they sell packages where you can, pressure test the house and do a whole bunch of other stuff. But just a basic inspection is pretty much all you need. The appraisal fee, we have that as well too. Well, let me not say we. The bank charges you that. It's just like a third party to make sure that, everybody's doing their job. It's just like a checks and balance. We want to make sure that the property is worth what we assume that is worth, what the offer is, and if it's not, we want to catch that ahead of time before you buy the house and then you're trying to sell it and then you realize you spent, too much money buying it. So now you're upside down. So to prevent that, you have an appraisal. The appraisal will come out. If the house is worth more than what you're buying it for, then it's a great deal. You're moving into the house with equity. So that means, if you kept the house for 2 years and you moved in and you got it for $40,000, less than what it was worth at the time, it should go up. And in 2 or 3 years when you sell it, you should be at least $40,000, ahead of the game. So just out of pocket costs, it does vary from deal to deal. But as you can see below, anywhere from a 0 to 5% is a typical down payment. There are more VA, USDA are 0. If you get down payment assistance, it could be 0, but you still have closing costs. And closing costs is typically 1 to 3% of your purchase price. So it all just varies on your loan program, which is why it's important to get pre-approved, because we'll know how much money you'll actually need. So just the team that you'll be working with, again, your realtor. We find you the right home at the right price. We'll write and negotiate those contracts. We'll get you coordinated with all the vendors and everybody that you need. And the biggest thing I say is we protect your money throughout the deal, because nobody wants to give up $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 and not walk away with something at the end of the day. Now, there are time frames where we can't protect your money, but we will let you know that up front. Typically, it's about a 21-day window where we can protect it. But if you've done everything right, up until that point, you should be good. But if you go buy a car 2 days before closing, then, you just kind of shot yourself in the foot. That wasn't anything that we did on our end to cause you, to lose money. That would be something that our client did. And we obviously wouldn't be able to protect you from you. So just don't do anything different than what you've been doing to get to this point, and you should be fine. The lender, they pre-approve you, give you your home buying power. The escrow officer, like I said, they basically review your contract, make sure that it's compliant. They make sure that everything in that contract is executed, and then they disperse the funds to everybody at the end of the transaction. So this is just kind of a walkthrough of it. A typical timeline is about 30 days, 45 days, and certain cases, if you have a home where you're looking to sell and buy, if it's just, a very clean file, we've got all the funds, the credit is great, we may be able to do this in as little as 15 days, 21 days. So it just, depends on everybody's situation. It's a little bit different, but you get approved. We do the home search, make an offer. Option period is where you do your inspection and, finalize if this is the property, do that loan processing, close and get those keys, and hopefully give us a 5-star review. That is pretty much it. Like, once you go through that, it's downhill. Like, the hardest part for most people is finding a home. Once you find a home, everything else is downhill. Before the closing day, the lender will be in contact with you. You will have CDs and stuff like that you need to sign. You don't want to buy any large purchases. You don't want to go buy a bunch of furniture for the property. You may be moving in on the 3rd, and the next delivery date is on the 10th, unless you buy the furniture today. I would highly recommend you just to hold off, or you might buy furniture for a property that you don't have. It just depends on how tight your DTI is, which you'd have to talk to the lender to kind of get an okay, if it's okay to buy anything. If it's more than your typical bills, I would say just ask the lender. We'll go through a walkthrough of your home. We'll confirm that closing time. We'll get you the information to send your funds. At the closing table, it normally takes about 30 to 45 minutes. That's where you'll, pay your final balance. They'll record the deed with the county, the lender funds the loan, and you get the keys. So that is it. If you got any questions, you can call or text us, email us, follow us, social media. And if there's anything we can do to help you out, just let us know.